the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Hey, all right. Welcome to the show as we start another week. The first week of August. It's still a great week. The weather's still terrific. And, school's not in session yet. So that was when I was a kid, man, that was pretty cool. When school started back up, I got depressed. But, who knows? That's life. All right. Hey, I'm happy you're with me today. Do you think that every marriage can be saved? Is there hope for every single marriage? Or are there some marriages that are just beyond hope? My answer is no. There aren't any that are beyond hope, although I will say that they don't get fixed once one of the people says, I'm not doing it. But if both people say, yeah, let's figure this out, it's every single marriage is fixable, every single one, in my opinion. Is there a secret to healing a very broken marriage? So lots of people have very broken marriages. And can we fix the really bad ones, the ones that are really busted pretty bad? Is there a secret to that? Well, we're going to explore that today, too. Because today, we're going to look at another case study from Lila Miller's wonderful book of hope titled Impossible Marriages Redeemed. I think you'll like this case study today. So here we go. I was married for the second time when I began having an affair. Okay, so this is not a good way to start, all right? This is not a recipe for success. In my typical way, she says, I was always looking for something to give me that happy, fulfilled feeling. I was a dedicated wanderer, traveling all over the world, dabbling in different religions, and willing to try anything once or twice. In short, I was a well-intentioned mess. I like the way she says that. That's pretty good. And there's ample support for all my crazy choices which were mostly thought of as free-spirited, even though they actually caused incredible pain for myself and others. Even my grandma encouraged me to seize my freedom, to go and do and see, and so I did. In a way, relationships were just another adventure for me. After all, each new relationship was full of possibilities, right? Who would I be now that I'm with this person? Would we live in Africa and take safari vacations? Or, would I start going to church again? Or would I become a different person? Getting married was thought of as a culmination of the good times we were having. And after the ceremony and honeymoon, there would be many more good times. Predictably enough, my second marriage didn't work out. Well, there you go, right? So I guess I'll pause here for a minute. I think she does a great job of summing up the spirit of our culture, the zeitgeist of our time when it comes to married life. Let the good times roll. That's the theme, that's the song that everybody dances to. And if the party ends, well, it's time to go find another party because there's always another party, right? And so fun becomes the ultimate measure of relationships and of marriages. And since we live in a world of no-fault divorce, I can decide that fun is the thing that will determine whether or not I stay in this marriage or not. So I think she does an admirable, and that's the deal. I think she sums it up pretty well. All right, she goes on. So there was a healthy dose of skepticism on my part, and probably everyone else's, as I became engaged for the third time. Here she goes again. But this time, faith played a role. I'd started going to a Lutheran church again, and my fiancée was baptized and confirmed a few months before the wedding. So now with a faith in God and doing our best and committed to each other, we married and moved across the country so that my husband could attend law school. Those were a difficult couple of years. In some ways, I expected our marriage to fail, wanted it to fail, and was absolutely certain he would let me down. And in some ways, this has proven true. Turns out, marriage is actually hard, even a good one. That's something that never really occurred to me. Isn't that interesting? To my way of thinking back then, either marriage was hard, and that meant it was bad, or you haven't found the one, or you shouldn't have married at all. Or you should keep looking until you found the magical unicorn of marriages, which is basically an endless date with your best friend. All right. So, all right, so here's my thoughts on that. How things begin to change, albeit slowly, once God is allowed to enter into the picture. And here, for the first time, she uses the word committed. That idea of commitment, that makes all the difference, doesn't it? I also think it's interesting that it never occurred to her that marriage would actually be hard. Again, that's the lie of our culture. That's the lie of of so many of the romantic comedies, which I enjoy, by the way, where all the trouble lies before the couple gets married, and then they happily get married, and then the movie ends with no mention of the struggles that come after the wedding, right? So it's interesting, her third marriage, and, the statistics are 75% of third marriages fail. 75%. All right, so that's not too good, right? All right, so she goes on. In addition to all the normal challenges of marriage, we were both very wounded by past relationships. Yep, that makes sense. And the example of our parents' divorces and remarriages and redivorces. Added to that was a long period of infertility and a blistering curveball that I never expected. My husband wanted to become Catholic. Oh, no. We fought a lot. I defended Martin Luther. I was a Lutheran, and I would die a Lutheran. I remember telling my husband I would never, ever have married a Catholic. But then, just 2 weeks before our long-awaited daughter was born, I saw a podcast on his laptop about Mary and asked him if he was okay raising our daughter Lutheran, because I wasn't about to convert and I was tired of the tension. He promised that he would be okay with that, but only if I agreed to read a handful of books he recommended. If, after reading them, I still didn't want to be Catholic, he would let it go. So I started reading. Within days, I was open to the idea of becoming Catholic. Funny enough, I love this. Funny enough, his desire to convert came about because of the church's stance on divorce. He couldn't understand, reading the notes in our Lutheran study Bible, how divorce and remarriage was not regarded as an ongoing sin. It was unfortunate, but not wrong. One simply moved on. And being children of divorce, we both knew it wasn't that simple. Being twice divorced myself, I saw how much harder it became for me to trust a husband, to commit to marriage, and to accept that marriage meant a lot of sacrifice, work, and dedication, even when it didn't feel good or even when it wasn't easy or fun. All right. So, wow. I think it's important to note, we bring our entire past with us when we get married. The injuries from past relationships, injuries from childhood, injuries from high school and college, injuries from parents, all that comes with us. And there's no escaping that. You are the sum total of all of life's experiences up until this point, which is why some folks need to do a lot of individual healing, individual therapy work before they're actually ready to get married. And I've certainly have counseled some folks to hold off. You need to do some individual therapy to get this thing here figured out before you're ready to take on the demands of married life. I also think it's interesting that she talked about wounds from her parents' divorces and remarriages and redivorces, right? Those wounds get passed on. And don't believe for a minute that the children of divorce don't suffer from that divorce. Those wounds can heal, but there's wounds nonetheless, and those wounds require healing. Here's some facts. Daughters of divorced parents have about a 60% higher divorce rate than women whose parents didn't divorce. Sons of divorced parents have roughly a 35% higher divorce rate than men from intact families. So divorce gets passed on, and you're more likely to get divorced if your parents were, and that makes it harder even going into it. So then she goes on, we now have 3 small children. I love that part. And we're raising them with the understanding that marriage is forever. Even when we disagree, even when things are hard, we are always a family. We will always be a family. That speaks to the idea of commitment. And the Catholic Church is the only one that I know of that upholds that and says, no, you committed to it till death do you part. and you got to live up to that commitment. But if you live that commitment, if you embrace that commitment, it makes all the difference. But the past still hurts despite all the graces and sacraments and my lifetime confession. That's a good thing. A general confession over your past life when you go into the church is a beautiful idea. All of which have helped immeasurably. I still often wish things were different, that our parents had made different choices, that I had made different choices. And I get that, but you know what? Once you're back in a state of grace, let it go. Let it go. Move on. Our Lord has forgotten about it. You've been forgiven. You're moving on. You got to let it go. And it's hard to do. It's hard to let go of our past sins and things we've done. But, you got to let it go. The thought gives me hope when marriage feels hard, when the past feels oppressive, is knowing what a difference my husband and I can make in the lives of our children and grandchildren. It's just a couple generations. The history of heartache can change. Our children will not face the fractured family dynamic that we struggled with in our own families. Our children will be able to look at us as an example, and their children will be blessed to have parents and grandparents that will be us as ongoing examples of holy matrimony. All right? So, listen, it is so true. I mean, not only do we pass on our defects and our imperfections to our children, we also pass on all that is good in us as well. Children benefit a great deal from watching their parents struggle through the tough times in ways that show love and commitment. Sacrifice and hard work are the two best examples we can set for our children. You know the old saying, love is sacrifice, not sweet deeds. And Christ is the ultimate example of that. And you can absolutely be the example of that to your children. And that greatly will increase the joy in your life and the probability of successful marriages for your children. So then she wraps up, marriage is not about our feelings or about being happy all the time. Rather, it's an opportunity to sacrifice one another, to give ourselves, to take up our cross with Christ. Marriage is often more sanctifying than exciting. But on the other side of sacrifice is always true joy. I realize more every day that 50th wedding anniversaries are made up not of large moments, but of a million small sacrifices. And that those choices are made, those vows are renewed each day, in each moment, till death do us part. Remember, my friends, marriage is not designed for your happiness, but for your holiness. But here's the secret. Holy people are happy people. Matthew, welcome to Marriage Unhindered, my friend.
I just want to say this past April, I called in to Marriage Unhindered talking about the strife and struggles of my wife and I as we were going through just some infertility problems. All the doctor's visits, a financial strain, the loss of hope.
Yeah.
But this program, talked about Our Lady of Champion, and we were coming into May talking about Mary. So her being the undoer of knots.
Yeah.
So just really asked for her intercession, and thankfully enough, we conceived in May. So we are now in going on week 13. So there's always rejoice on the other side. So you just have to fast and keep on it, and always ask for Mary's intercession, and so always have the faith.
Matthew. Oh, I am so happy for you. What's your wife's name?
Her name is Kelsey.
Kelsey. Matthew and Kelsey going to have a baby. I think that is so exciting. Do you know if it's going to be a boy or a girl?
Not yet. I think we just kind of want to keep it a surprise.
We never wanted to find out, and I always loved that surprise when the baby appeared. But some people like to find out. But I couldn't be happier, my friend. And I think you've got
Truly
your heart
a blessing.
In the right place. Yeah, give praise and glory to our Blessed Mother who helped you to conceive, and our good and gracious God. And thank you for staying the course, man. Thank you for not losing faith. And thanks for calling into the show. This is the part of the show, man, that is just so cool, is when I get to hear these success stories. So I will say this. If it's a boy, I think Doug's a great name. I'm just going to throw that out. I just put it in the list. I'm not saying, yeah, Gavin says, or Gavin. Yeah.
Gavin. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Matthew, God bless you. God bless your wife.
All right.
Do me a favor, call back in 6 months and let us know what you got, would you, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Gavin.
Yeah. God bless you. God bless you, Matthew. This entire episode of Marriage Unhindered is on the updated Relevant Radio app. The Relevant Radio app is completely free and updated daily with fresh articles, podcasts, and prayers.